The transport ship Unity came out of hyperspace with a soft blue flash. Inside the ship's main cabin, Hyun-Woo Kim looked out the window at the massive space station ahead. Nexus Prime was the biggest thing he had ever seen. The station was like a small moon made of glass and metal, spinning slowly in space. "First time seeing the galactic capital?" asked Jeon Park from the seat next to him. She was reading through her translation notes on a small tablet. "Yes," Hyun-Woo said. "It's much bigger than I thought it would be." Jeon smiled. "Wait until you see the inside. Everything is perfect there. Perfect temperature, perfect air, perfect everything. No weather at all." Hyun-Woo nodded. He had been Earth's weather expert for 15 years before becoming a diplomat. The idea of a place with no weather seemed strange to him. How did anything grow? How did the air move around? The docking was smooth. As they walked through the station's halls, Hyun-Woo was amazed by what he saw. The walls were made of some kind of white material that glowed softly. The air felt exactly the same everywhere they went. Not too hot, not too cold, not too dry, not too wet. "The temperature never changes here," Ji-yoon explained as they walked. "Always exactly 22 degrees. The humidity is always 45%. The air pressure never moves." "How do they manage that?" Hyun-Woo asked. "Millions of tiny machines in the walls. They control everything." They reached a large door marked with symbols Hyun-Woo could not read. Ji-yoon pressed her hand to a scanner, and the door opened. The room inside was huge. The ceiling was so high that Hyun-Woo could barely see it. In the center was a round table. Made of crystal, around the table sat the strangest beings Hyun-Woo had ever seen. "Welcome, humans from Earth," said a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. The being at the head of the table looked like it was made of blue crystal. Light moved through its body like slow lightning. This was Veltar, the Supreme Chancellor of the Galactic Union. "Thank you for having us," Hyun-Woo said. Bowing slightly to Veltar's right sat a creature that looked like a giant insect. Its name was Mordash, and it was the military advisor. Its 6 arms moved constantly, touching different parts of what looked like a control panel built into the table. On the left was Creolon, the chief scientist. It looked like a large frog, but its skin was silver and it had 4 eyes that could move independently of each other. "Please, sit," Veltar said. 2 chairs appeared from the floor, perfectly sized for humans. As they sat down, more aliens entered the room. Some floated, some walked, some seemed to flow like liquid. All of them looked at the humans with curiosity. "We have studied your species for some time," Veltar continued. "Your planet is classified as a Class 12 DeathWorld. We are impressed that any intelligent life could develop there." "A DeathWorld?" Gaon asked. Creolon's 4 eyes all turned to look at her. "A planet where the conditions are so dangerous that most species would die quickly. Your gravity is very strong. Your radiation levels are high. Your atmospheric pressure is extreme." "Oh," Hyun-Woo said. "We never thought of Earth as dangerous. It's just home." Mordash's antennae twitched. "Just home. The data we collected shows massive environmental challenges. How do you survive?" "We adapt," Ji-yoon said simply. "But the environmental variations must be terrible," said a new voice. This came from Dr. Zephyra, who had just entered. She looked like a tall plant with golden leaves. "Our sensors show your planet has extreme temperature differences." Hyun-Woo smiled. "The weather can be interesting." "Yes. Interesting." Veltar's light flickered faster. "Please explain." "Well," Hyun-Woo said, thinking of how to explain it simply, "the temperature changes with the seasons. In Seoul, where I lived, it gets quite cold in winter. Maybe 20 degrees below zero. In summer, it can reach 38 degrees above zero." The room went very quiet. "Did you say 20 degrees below zero?" Creolon asked slowly. "Yes, that's normal for winter. Sometimes it gets colder, and 38 above." Mordash's 6 arms had stopped moving. "Oh, that's not the hottest I've seen. I visited Daegu once when it was 42 degrees. Very warm." Day Dr. Zephyra made a sound like wind through leaves. 42 degrees. That would kill most plants instantly. Really? Our rice grows fine in that heat, just needs more water. More water? Veltar asked. Yes. During the summer monsoons, we get a lot of rain then. Sometimes 300 millimeters in a single day. 300 millimeters. Creelon's eyes were now moving in different directions very quickly. In one day. Sometimes more. I remember one typhoon last September dropped 500 millimeters in 6 hours. Typhoon? Several aliens asked at once. Jowoon jumped in to help. It's a big storm, very windy. The winds can reach 200 kilometers per hour. 200. Mordash's voice was very quiet now. That was a strong one, Hyunwoo said. Most are only around 150 kilometers per hour. Only Dr. Zafira whispered. Hyunwoo reached into his bag and pulled out a small device. Would you like to see this week's weather report from Seoul? Before anyone could answer, he activated the holographic display. A three-dimensional image appeared above the table, showing Earth's weather patterns. See, today, it's 15 degrees and partly cloudy. Tomorrow, it might rain. Next week, it could be 25 degrees. Very normal for this time of year. The aliens stared at the swirling clouds and temperature readings. Hyunwoo pointed to different areas. The monsoon season is starting in the south. Those are normal summer storms. Oh, and there's a small typhoon forming over the ocean. Nothing too serious, nothing too serious. Veltar's light was now flashing rapidly. It's only Category 2. Maybe Category 3 by the time it makes landfall. We'll just close the schools for a day or two. Creelon made a gurgling sound. You continue normal activities during these events. Of course, we just prepare a little. Extra food, charged batteries, maybe some sandbags if we're near the river. Sandbags? Mordash asked for flooding. The river sometimes rises during heavy rain. And this is ... normal. Dr. Zafira asked. Very normal. This is actually a pretty calm week. Last month we had that heat wave that lasted 10 days. 40 degrees every day. And before that, we had the ice storm that knocked out power for a few days. The room was completely silent except for the soft hum of the station's systems. Hyunwoo looked around at all the staring faces. Is something wrong? Veltar's crystal body flickered with nervous light. Nothing is wrong, Ambassador Hyunwoo. Please, continue telling us about your ... weather. But something was very wrong. Around the room, aliens were whispering to each other in their different languages. Some were typing rapidly on hidden devices. Others were making quiet communication calls. Well, Hyunwoo said, still confused by their reactions, what would you like to know? These storms you mentioned, Creelon said carefully. How often do they happen? Typhoons. Maybe 10 or 12 times per year during storm season. But we only worry about the big ones, 10 or 12. Dr. Zephyr's leaves were turning from gold to brown. Per year, yes, and in winter we get different storms. Snowstorms, ice storms. Last winter we had one that dropped 2 meters of snow in 3 days. Mordash made a clicking sound with his mandibles. 2 meters of frozen water. It was beautiful, Jiyoon added helpfully. The children loved building snow forts and having snowball fights. The children ... played in it, Veltar asked slowly. Of course, snow is fun. Though we had to close the roads for a week, a new voice came from the back of the room. Excuse me, but did you say the children played outside during a 2-meter frozen precipitation event? Everyone turned to see Dr. Taemin Lee walking into the room. He was the third human in their delegation, a scientist who studied how different species lived on different worlds. Oh, Taemin, Goon waved. We were just telling them about Earth's weather. Taemin smiled and sat down. Are you telling them about the mild stuff or the interesting weather? Mild stuff. Creelon's 4 eyes were all pointing in different directions now. What we've described so far is pretty normal, Taemin explained. Nothing too extreme. Not extreme. Mordash's 6 arms were shaking. Well, no. I mean, we haven't mention tornadoes or hurricanes or dust storms or anything really dramatic. The word tornadoes seemed to echo in the quiet room. Tornadoes, whispered Dr. Zephyra. Spinning wind columns, Ji-yoon explained. I saw one when I was visiting Busan. It was quite small, only about 50 meters wide. Only 50 meters. Veltar's light was flashing so fast it looked like strobe lights. The winds were maybe 300 kilometers per hour. It picked up a few cars and threw them around. Lasted about 10 minutes. It picked up ... cars. Mordash was making a sound like steam escaping. Metal vehicles, Hyun-woo clarified. Each one weighs about 1,000 kilograms. And you survived this? Creolon asked. Oh, I wasn't that close, Ji-yoon laughed. I was about 2 kilometers away. We could see it clearly though. Very impressive you watched it. Dr. Zephyra's leaves were now completely brown. Of course, it's not every day you see a tornado, though in some parts of Earth, they're more common. More common. Several aliens asked together. Tae-min nodded. In the central parts of North America, they get hundreds every year. People there are used to them. A new alien entered the room quickly. This was Commander Vexel, head of the station's defense systems. His species looked like walking crystals. Similar to Veltar, but red instead of blue. Supreme Chancellor, he said, in a worried voice. Our environmental analysis computers are asking for more data about the human homeworld. Why? Veltar asked. They're having trouble believing the initial readings. The AI systems keep marking the data as impossible or sensor error. It's not an error, Hyun-woo said. Would you like to see more weather reports? No, said Commander Vexel quickly. Then, more calmly, I mean, perhaps we should process the information we already have. But Taemin was already pulling out his own device. I have some great footage. From last year's monsoon season, the holographic display lit up again. This time it showed dark clouds and heavy rain falling so hard it looked like a grey wall. This was during the July monsoons, Taemin explained. We got about 400 millimeters in 8 hours. The streets flooded, but that's normal. The video showed water rushing through city streets, people walking through knee-deep water, and children splashing and playing. The children are playing. In the floodwater, Commander Vexel asked in horror. Kids love puddles, Ji-yoon said with a smile. Those aren't puddles, Mordash whispered. That water is 1/2 meter deep. Yes, it was a good monsoon that year, Hyun-woo agreed. Another alien burst into the room. This was Zephyra's assistant, a scientist called Nexera, who looked like a floating jellyfish with silver tentacles. Dr. Xavier Nexera said urgently. The environmental computer has finished its analysis of Earth's climate patterns. What did it find? Dr. Zephyra asked, though she sounded like she didn't. Want to know? The computer says that Earth's weather systems generate more destructive energy in 1 year than our entire military could produce in a century. The room went completely silent. That seems high, Hyun-woo said thoughtfully. Though I suppose, storms do carry a lot of energy. How do you survive? Commander Vexel asked quietly. We build strong houses, Taemin said. We predict the weather and prepare for it. We help each other when bad weather comes. And we adapt, Ji-yoon added. Humans are good at adapting. The computer also says, Nexera continued in a shaky voice, that the atmospheric pressure changes on Earth would crush most galactic species. Really? Hyun-woo looked interested. We never noticed, though I do remember my ears feeling funny when that big typhoon passed over Seoul last year. The pressure dropped quite a bit. How much? Dr. Zephyra asked weakly. Maybe 50 millibars in 6 hours. Made everyone a little sleepy. 50 millibars. Nexera's tentacles were curling up tightly. That would cause instant death for most species, huh? Taemin said. I guess we're tougher than we thought. Behind the aliens, more and more officials were entering the room. They whispered urgently to each other, checking devices and looking at the humans with expressions that mixed fear and amazement. Perhaps, Veltar said carefully, we should take a short break. To process this information. Sure, said though I should mention. The weather report shows a small dust storm forming over the Gobi Desert. Nothing serious, winds only about 80 kilometers per hour. Should be fun to watch from space. Commander Vexel made a sound like breaking glass. We'll take that break now, Veltar said quickly. As the aliens filed out of the room, the humans could hear urgent conversations starting in the hallway. Words like impossible, DeathWorld, and how are they still alive drifted back through the door. They seem very interested in weather, Ji-yoon observed. Must not get much variety here, Hyun-woo agreed. Looking around at the perfectly controlled room near the human noticed the emergency lights that had started flashing in the hallway outside. In the alien conference room down the hall, chaos was breaking out. This cannot be correct, High Counselor Vextrium was saying. He looked like a giant sea creature with purple tentacles and 3 heads. Run the calculations again. I have run them 7 times, replied Nexera, her silver tentacles trembling. The results are always the same. Earth's weather systems are impossible. Show me, demanded Dr. Zafira. The room filled with holographic displays showing Earth's weather patterns. Numbers and graphs floated everywhere. Red warning signs blinked constantly. Look at this, Nexara pointed to a spinning storm over an ocean. This single hurricane contains enough energy to power our entire space station for 50 years, and they said hurricanes happen regularly. Commander Vexel asked. The humans called them typhoons and said they get 10 to 12 per year. Vextrium's 3 heads all turned pale. 12 city-destroying storms per year, and they consider it normal. It gets worse, Nexera continued. Look at these temperature variations. New displays showed Earth's temperature ranges. The numbers made several aliens gasp. In some places, the temperature changes by 60 degrees between seasons, Nex explained. 60 degrees. Most species die if their body temperature changes by 3 degrees. How do they survive? Whispered a small alien, who looked like a floating flower. Back in the meeting room, the humans were enjoying some refreshments that had been provided. The food was strange but tasty. This is good, said June, trying something that looked like blue fruit. A new human entered the room. This was So-young Choi, an engineer who had been inspecting the space station's systems. Sorry I'm late, So-young said, sitting down. I was looking at your environmental controls. Very impressive technology. Thank you, said Veltar, who had returned with some of his advisors. The crystal being was still flickering nervously. Though I'm curious, So-young continued. What happens when dust gets into the system? Dust? Asked Creolon. Yes, dust particles. They can clog filters and damage sensitive equipment. We have no dust here, Mordash said. The environment is completely controlled. Really? That's amazing. Back home, we have to design everything to handle dust, especially during dust storm season. The aliens went very quiet again. Dust storm season, Dr. Zafira asked weakly. Oh yes, So-young said cheerfully. In some parts of Earth, we get massive dust storms. Walls of dust several kilometers high that can travel for thousands of kilometers. Several kilometers high. Veltar's light was flickering faster. The big ones can reach 8 or 10 kilometers. High winds around 100 kilometers per hour. They block out the sun completely. Block out the sun. Commander Vexel had gone completely still. For hours, sometimes days. We just seal up our buildings and wait for them to pass. You wait inside your buildings? Asked Mordash. Of course. We make sure our air filters are clean, cover the sensitive equipment, and usually catch up on reading or watch movies. Movies? Several aliens asked. Entertainment videos, Pamin explained. We watch them to pass time during storms. Make entertainment while your planet tries to kill you. High Counselor Vextrium had entered the room and was staring at the humans. The planet isn't trying to kill us, Hyun-woo said, confused. It's just weather, Vextrium repeated quietly. Right. Though I guess some weather can be dangerous if you're not prepared. Like what? Dr. Zafira asked, though she looked like she didn't want to know. Well, hailstorms can be rough, So-young said. I was in one last year where the hail was about 8 centimeters across. 8 centimeters, gasped Nexera, who had just entered. Some were bigger. They broke a few windows, dented some cars, made a lot of noise on the roof. Chunks of ice 8 centimeters across, falling from the sky, Commander Vexel said slowly. And you consider this normal? It doesn't happen often, Gion said helpfully. Maybe once or twice a year. Once or twice a year, Vexel repeated. The really big hail is rare, Taemin added. I've only seen baseball-sized hail twice in my life. Baseball-sized, Mordash asked. About 9 centimeters across. Those can really hurt if they hit you, so you avoid going outside. Dr. Zephyra asked hopefully. If we can, but sometimes you get caught in it. I remember running to my car once during a hailstorm. Got a few bruises, but nothing serious. You ran through ice chunks falling from the sky. Vextrium S3 heads were all staring now. Well, yes. My car was only 50 meters away. 50 meters, Vextrium whispered. More aliens were entering the room now. Word was spreading through the station about the human weather reports. Scientists, military officers, and government officials all wanted to hear for themselves. Tell them about lightning, Soyoung suggested to the other humans. Oh, right. Hyanwu smiled. Do you have lightning here? Lightning? Asked a new alien who looked like a walking tree. Electrical discharges during storms. Very bright, very loud. Hyanwu pulled out his device again and showed a video of a thunderstorm over Seoul. The display filled with flashing white light and booming sounds. Rain fell in sheets while electricity danced across the sky. Each lightning bolt carries about 1 billion volts, Pamin explained casually. 1 billion. Squeaked the flower-like alien. Some are stronger, and there can be hundreds of lightning strikes in a single storm. Hundreds of billion-volt electrical discharges. Commander Vexel's voice was barely a whisper. It's quite beautiful. Ji-yoon said, children love watching thunderstorms. The children watch. Dr. Zephyra S. leaves were now completely black. From inside, of course. Though sometimes people get struck by lightning. People get struck by billion-volt electrical discharges and survive, Vextrium asked in horror. Sometimes, my uncle was hit once. He was unconscious for a few minutes, but he was fine. Fine, several aliens said together. Well, his hair stood up funny for a week, but yes, fine. In the back of the room, more aliens were arriving. Some were making emergency calls. Others were typing frantically on portable computers. The environmental analysis computer has new data, announced a mechanical-looking alien. What now? Vex asked tiredly. It has calculated that Earth's weather systems regularly produce conditions that would require our highest-level planetary evacuation protocols. How regularly? Asked Veltar. Every day. The room went silent except for the soft humming of the station's systems. Every day, Commander Vexel asked. Every single day, somewhere on Earth. Weather conditions exist that would trigger immediate evacuation orders for any Galactic Union world, and humans just live there, asked Mordash. We don't just live there, Soyoung said proudly. We thrive there. We've built cities, farms, everything we need. In the middle of daily planetary disasters, Nexera said faintly. I wouldn't call them disasters, Hyanwu said. They're just part of life. Outside the room, alarm lights had begun flashing throughout the station. Emergency alarms were now ringing throughout Nexus Prime. In the command center, dozens of aliens worked frantically at their stations. Report, shouted Admiral Kexvar as he entered the room. He was a large alien, with smooth gray skin and 6 arms, each one longer than a human was tall. Sir, said an officer who looked like a floating brain with tentacles, we have a code red situation. The human delegation is still talking about their planet's weather. Whether Admiral Kexvar's 6 arms moved in confusion. Why is weather causing a code red? You need to see the data, sir. Holographic displays filled the command center. They showed Earth spinning slowly, covered in swirling clouds and flashing lights. What am I looking at? The Admiral asked. Weather on the human homeworld, The officer explained. Right now, there are 14 storms that would destroy most galactic planets. 3 major hurricane systems, 6 tornado formations, 2 blizzards, and several dust storms, all happening at the same time. Yes, sir, and according to the humans, this is a quiet day. Admiral Kexvar stared at the display. How many humans live on this planet? 8 billion, sir. 8 billion beings live in the middle of constant planetary disasters. Yes, sir, and they call it home. In another part of the station, Senator Prill was holding an emergency meeting with other government leaders. She was from a water world and looked like a large, blue fish that could walk on land. The implications are staggering, she was saying to the group. These humans are not just survivors. They are disaster specialists. What do you mean? Asked Councilmember Hextall. Think about it. They evolved in conditions that would kill us instantly. They consider catastrophes to be normal weather. What does that make them? I don't understand, said another council member. It makes them the most dangerous species in the galaxy, Senator Prelude said quietly. Not because they want to hurt anyone, but because they are living weapons designed by the universe itself. Back in the meeting room, a new human had arrived. This was Woojin Num, an expert on farming who had been delayed by travel problems. Sorry I'm late, Woojin said, sitting down. My transport was delayed by a solar storm. The aliens all turned to look at him with wide eyes. Solar storm? Asked Veltar weakly. Yes, just a small one. Disrupted some satellites. We get them fairly regularly. Your star attacks your planet with radiation storms. Dr. Zafira asked. In horror, it's not really an attack. Woojin laughed. It's just solar activity. Natural thing. And you travel during these solar attacks. Of course. We just use extra shielding on the spacecraft. Standard procedure. Creolon made a gurgling sound. Standard procedure for traveling during stellar radiation bombardment. Right, though it can mess with communications a bit. How do you farm during these conditions? Asked a new alien who had just entered. This was agricultural specialist, Quillina, who looked like a walking mushroom. Oh, farming on Earth is challenging but fun, Woojin said enthusiastically. We have to plan for all sorts of weather, such as, well, droughts can last for months, no rain at all, temperatures over 40 degrees every day, months. Quillina was turning from brown to white. Sometimes years. We had one drought that lasted 3 years. But we adapted. How do you adapt to no water for 3 years? We store water, dig deeper wells, change what crops we grow. Humans are good at solving problems. What about the opposite? Asked Dr. Zephyra. Too much water? Oh, floods are common too. Sometimes the rivers rise 10 meters above normal levels. 10 meters, gasped Mordash. Last year, my farm was under 4 meters of water for 2 weeks. Your farm was completely underwater for 2 weeks and you survived. Admiral Kexvar had entered the room and was staring at Woojin. Well, I wasn't underwater. I evacuated to higher ground, but yes, the farm survived. I replanted when the water went down. You replanted. After your land was under 4 meters of floodwater, sure. The soil is actually better after a good flood, very fertile. Admiral Kexvar sat down heavily. You consider floods to be good for farming? Some floods, yes. Too much water is bad, too little water is bad. We try to find the right balance. And if you can't find the right balance, asked Senator Pralu, who had also entered. Then we adapt to what we have. If it's too dry, we grow desert crops. If it's too wet, we grow rice or other water plants. You change your entire agricultural system based on weather conditions. Of course, flexibility is important. More aliens were crowding into the room now. Word had spread throughout the station that the humans were still talking about their impossible world. Tell them about growing seasons, suggested So-Young. Oh yes, Woojin smiled. On Earth, we have to work with changing seasons. Changing seasons? Asked Quillina. The weather changes throughout the year. Spring is cool and wet. Summer is hot and dry. Autumn is mild and sometimes stormy. Winter is cold and snowy. The entire planet's weather changes regularly. Yes. Very regularly, every year, the same cycle. And you plan your farming around this. We have too. Plant some crops in spring, others in summer. Harvest before winter, store food for the cold months. You store food because your planet becomes too cold to grow anything. In many places, yes. Winter temperatures kill most plants. Your planet tries to kill your food supply every year. Quilina was now completely white. It's not trying to kill anything, it's just winter. Just winter, Admiral Kexvar repeated quietly. Though some years are worse than others, Wujin continued. Last winter was particularly cold, -30 degrees for 2 months. -30, whispered Senator Prilu. Yes, and we had ice storms too. Power was out for a week. Power was out during -30-degree temperatures, and you survived. We prepared extra blankets, wood for the fireplace, stored food. Basic winter preparation. Basic winter preparation, Admiral Kexvar said to himself. In the hallway outside, alien officials were running back and forth with urgent messages. The station's main computer was broadcasting constant updates about the human homeworld. Admiral, said an officer, appearing at the door. The Emperor wants to speak with you immediately. What does he want? He's seen the reports about Earth. He wants to know if the humans are a threat to the Empire. Admiral Kexvar looked at the humans, who were casually discussing farming techniques during planetary disasters. I don't think they're a threat, he said slowly. I think there's something much worse. What's worse than a threat? A species that doesn't even know how terrifying they are. The room fell silent except for Wujin's cheerful voice explaining how to grow crops during volcanic ash falls. Outside the windows, the lights of 1,000 alien ships could be seen gathering around the station. The massive doors to the meeting room opened with a deep sound that made everyone look up. Emperor Zilkathon entered, followed by dozens of officials and guards. The Emperor was the largest alien the humans had ever seen, looking like a mountain of black stone with glowing purple eyes. Your Imperial Majesty, Veltar said, bowing deeply. All the other aliens bowed as well. The humans stood up politely. Your Majesty, Hoyanwu said, with a respectful nod. So, the Emperor said in a voice like distant thunder, these are the humans from the DeathWorld. We prefer to call it Earth, Jiyun said with a smile. Earth, the Emperor repeated. I have been reading the reports about your ... weather. I hope they were helpful, Taman said. We're happy to share information about our home. Helpful, the Emperor said slowly. Yes, they have been very helpful. Behind the Emperor, Master Archivist Kelthor entered carrying several data devices. He looked like a tall, thin tree with silver bark and no leaves. Your Majesty, Kelthor said in a whisper that somehow everyone could hear, I have completed the historical analysis, and, in the entire recorded history of the Galactic Union, spanning 50,000 years and covering 10,000 species, we have never encountered a species that could survive the conditions these humans call normal weather. Never. Asked the Emperor. Never, Your Majesty. The closest comparison would be the extinct Vorthok warrior race. But they only survived in extreme conditions for short periods using advanced technology. And the humans. The humans evolved in these conditions. They do not just survive them, they thrive in them. Without any technology at all, the Emperor's purple eyes focused on the humans. Is this true? Well, Hyanwu said thoughtfully. Humans did evolve naturally on Earth. We didn't start using advanced technology until recently. How recently? Maybe 10,000 years ago. For basic farming tools, a few hundred years for real technology. You survived those conditions for thousands of years with no technology, Admiral Kexvar asked from the side of the room. Yes, actually, for most of human history, we lived outdoors all the time. Outdoors, whispered Senator Prilu. In those weather conditions, So-Young added helpfully, humans lived in simple shelters or caves and worked outside every day. Worked outside during typhoons and lightning storms and temperature extremes. Dr. Zephyra asked faintly. Well, we tried to find shelter during the really bad weather, Wujin said, but yes, mostly we lived and worked outside. A new human entered the room. This was Dahi Song, the trade negotiator who had been working on the formal agreements. "Sorry to interrupt," Dahi said, "but I have the final treaty documents ready for signing." She carried a folder of papers and set them on the crystal table. "Actually," the Emperor said, "we need to discuss those treaties." "Is there a problem?" Dahi asked. "No problem. But we may need to change some terms." "What kind of changes?" Haiyan asked. The Emperor looked around the room at his advisors. "We originally planned to offer humanity basic membership in the Galactic Union. Trading rights, some cultural exchange, protection under galactic law." "That sounds wonderful," Ji-yoon said. "However," the Emperor continued, "the reports about your world have made us realize that our original offer was insufficient." "Insufficient how?" Dahi asked, opening her folder. "We would like to offer humanity full membership with special status." "Special status?" Master Archivist Kelther stepped forward. "In our 50,000-year history, we have only granted special status twice. Once to the energy beings who taught us hyperspace travel, and once to the machine intelligence that created our universal translator." "We're honored," Haiyan said, "but what does special status mean?" "It means," the Emperor said, "that humanity would be recognized as the galactic specialists in extreme environment survival." "That sounds interesting," Dahi said carefully. "Any time a Union world faces environmental disaster storms, temperature extremes, atmospheric problems, they would call for human assistance." "We'd be happy to help," Taemin said. In exchange, Admiral Kexvar added, humans would receive the highest level of trade privileges, access to all galactic technology, and unlimited colonization rights. "Unlimited colonization rights?" Ji-yoon asked. "Any world in the galaxy that other species consider too dangerous to live on," Senator Prilu explained. "There are thousands of worlds with valuable resources that we cannot access because of extreme weather or environmental conditions." "You're offering us the dangerous planets?" Soyoung asked. "We're offering you the planets that only you can survive on," the Emperor corrected. "Worlds with valuable minerals, rare elements, and perfect farming conditions that are completely inaccessible to other species because of severe weather." "Oh," Woojin said, his eyes lighting up. "That could be very good for farming. Different climate zones, new growing seasons. Plus," Master Archivist Kelther added, "humans would have automatic authority over any weather-related emergency in Union space." "Weather-related emergency?" Haiyan asked. "If any Union world experiences storms, temperature changes, or atmospheric problems beyond their safety limits, human teams would take charge of the response." "We'd be like galactic weather specialists?" Dahi asked. "Exactly." The humans looked at each other. "This is a much better offer than we expected," Dahi said. "It is the offer that makes sense," the Emperor said. "We have realized that humanity possesses the most valuable survival skills in the galaxy." "Well," Haiyan said, "I suppose we've had a lot of practice." "Indeed," the Emperor agreed. Dahi began reading through the new treaty documents. "These terms are ... extremely generous. They reflect humanity's unique value to the Union," Admiral Kexvar said. "I have one question," Ji-yoon said. "Why are you offering us so much?" The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. "Because we have realized that any species that considers planetary disasters to be mild weather is not a species we want as enemies." "Enemies?" Taemin looked surprised. "We don't want to be anyone's enemies." "No," the Emperor said. "We know that. Which is why we want you as our very best friends." "That's very kind," Soyoung said. Also, Admiral Kexvar added quietly, "If the galaxy ever faces a crisis that threatens all life, we want the species that thrives in impossible conditions to be on our side." "Of course we'd help," Woojin said. "That's what friends do." "What friends do," the Emperor repeated thoughtfully. Dahi finished reading the documents. "I think we can accept these terms." "Excellent," the Emperor said. "Welcome to the Galactic Union, humanity." As they signed the treaties, Master Archivist Kelth leaned over to Admiral Kexvar. "Should we tell them about the emergency protocols?" he whispered. What emergency protocols? The Admiral whispered back. The ones I'm creating. Any planet that experiences Earth-like weather conditions will immediately request human assistance. Teams. Good idea. I'm calling them human weather protocols. Perfect. Meanwhile, Dahi was finishing the paperwork. This has been a very productive meeting, she said cheerfully. Though I have to say, the meeting room temperature is quite comfortable. Reminds me of a nice spring day during monsoon season back home. Several alien officials quietly left the room. Yes, the Emperor said weakly. Very comfortable indeed. Outside the station, the gathered alien ships began broadcasting a message throughout the galaxy. Humanity has joined the Union. All extreme weather emergencies should now be reported to human specialists immediately. None of the humans knew that they had just become the most feared and respected species in galactic history. All because they had mentioned the weather.